Hello, beautiful people. This is Dawn. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm on my way home, working a lot of overtime, so I don't have much time to do videos at home where I would prefer. So here we are. Anyway, I wanted to do this video on anxious thoughts, what to do with them. I have a Facebook group called Magick Witches, and I asked the question, what topics would you like to see in this group? And somebody responded and said what to do with anxious thoughts. So I thought I'd do this video on first talking about the mundane reasons why a person would have anxious thoughts, as well as the more magical, spiritual reasons and solutions. Okay, so I want to throw in solutions. It's very important. And what do you do with these anxious thoughts? So first off, the mundane things, it could be hormones, it could be related to food, it could be related to stress. Okay, so those are the mundane reasons why. And to resolve the anxious thoughts on a mundane level or physical level, I would strongly suggest that you, if you're around menopause, that you go see a naturopath. I am not good with hormones. Hormones are a bit of a unicorn for me because, I don't know, they're just very complicated. So when I started menopause, it was very over my head. I went to a naturopath and got my hormones tested, and along with a whole bunch of other tests, and he put together a plan to help me get through menopause, and it worked. What he did for me ended the hot flashes, and it was very unusual, but that is a different topic. It's very in-depth and it's very individualistic because there is no one solution for menopause. It depends on you, your body, your sensitivities, and all sorts of different things. So it's very much dependent on those tests, the results of those tests that a naturopath can give you. So there's that. But there are things you can do anyway, even if you don't go see a naturopath. But let's see, what else? Stress, of course. Stress is something we can control to a certain degree. Now, if you're in menopause, holy cow, stress just goes through the roof because there's nothing. The estrogen, here I go into menopause. Hopefully you'll understand. But the cortisol is controlled by estrogen, and so if your estrogen levels drop because you're going into menopause, cortisol can just go through the roof, and that'll mess up your sleeping. It'll give you anxiety attacks and anxious thoughts and all of that. So I've got to mention it just because it is a contributing factor. So stress can also interfere with your being able to sleep. But the bottom line I want to talk about is worry, which I think is a lot of behind the anxious thoughts for people. Now, worry is an emotion. I'm going to label it as an emotion. It is an energy we experience when we don't know what's going to happen. It is an energy we experience when we don't have a plan, and we don't know what we're going to do if X happens. So we are seeing some absolute, total, weird craziness going on on this planet right now. We've got climate change. We've got political craziness. We've got a war going on, and dictators all gathering together and supporting each other, and the free world is like, screw you. And it's crazy. The protests in Iran are just amazing. These young people are saying we've had enough. We're not afraid of your guns. We're not afraid of your tyranny. We're standing up to you. We're sick of it. We want you to leave us alone. We want to change the regime. We want our government to be free. It is amazing what is happening in this world right now. So that can cause a lot of stress. Oh my goodness. So, and then our economy is acting very weird. I listen to Bloomberg radio, and they were just saying this morning how very weird this inflation is acting. Our economy is not acting normal. And so it scares everybody because nobody knows what is going to happen. The Federal Reserve keeps hiking the rates. We don't know where that's going to go because this is not a normal inflation. It's not acting normal. So everybody's worried. And so there can be anxious thoughts because of that. So what do you do with that? Okay, so for the mundane, you can look at your diet. If there's too much sugar, menopause, that kind of thing. But with the stress, no matter where you are, menopause or not, stress is something that can be handled by meditation a lot of times. Now, I mentioned the cortisol. Cortisol, when it gets really high, sometimes can run away. It's called cascading. And it is extremely difficult to bring it back down except through meditation. And I don't know if you've ever tried to meditate when your mind is running at 1,000,000 miles per second, whatever that is, for thoughts, right? And getting your body to calm down. So the important thing is breathing. I will suggest you go check out Wim Hof. I will put a link, I think, down below for his video channel, his YouTube channel, and to his website. But he has a breathing technique that is very powerful. Just read up on him. He's amazing. He's just freaks me out. Him and his students were tested. They were all given I think a cold virus or something, a real mild virus. And they had a control group, and then they had Wim Hof and his students. The control group all got sick, all had symptoms, and the Wim Hof group and his students, none of them had symptoms. None of them got sick. So he's somebody to pay attention to. And this was all scientifically done. It was done in a university hospital. It was all, he's had a lot of tests run on him, university run, not somebody in their basement saying, hey, this would be cool. So it's very scientifically done. I believe it. He's got something. He's onto something. It's a breathing technique. Now you can do the deep breathing. That'll help as well. What you're trying to do is shut down or minimize the sympathetic system. So your sympathetic system, am I saying that right? Anyway, is your fight or flight. It keeps you on edge, keeps you alert, and it keeps you in an anxious kind of situation. So you want to shut that down, and you want the parasympathetic nervous system. There you go. I got it. Nervous system to take over, and that's where you're calm and you feel good and you feel relaxed. That's where you want to be. You want to be you want the parasympathetic system to be there in place of the sympathetic nervous system. Okay, so that's what you can do. Stay away from the sugar. Caffeine depends on if you're sensitive. If you're sensitive to caffeine, yeah, just dial it back or even replace it with something else. There are plenty of alternatives to what coffee or caffeine can give you. So you're looking for the energy, you're looking for the feeling of alert and the dopamine hit, because caffeine will give you a dopamine hit, or coffee will. I don't know if it's the caffeine in the coffee or if it's coffee with the caffeine or what it is, but it does make me feel better. It makes me feel happy. It's a good thing, right? And so dial it back if you are sensitive, and you know you are sensitive if you have a cup and you're bouncing off the walls. All right, so take that into consideration. that's the best I can do as far as the physical. Of course, exercise, stretch, yoga, stuff like that will help you to get calm and stay relaxed and calm. So, okay, I'm going to take a pause here because I got to get off and run an errand. All right, so I will be right back. Okay, where was I? I think I was talking about anxious thoughts, the mundane causes, and some solutions. So I just want to make sure I covered something important, and that is anxious thoughts usually tend to come from worry, and worry comes from not knowing what's going to happen. So my advice is, if you're worried about money, get a budget. If you're worried about X, do some research and come up with some scenarios. If X happens, this is what I'm going to do. If Y happens, this is what I'm going to do. So that you have a plan and you can work on it, you can update it, and you can come up with different solutions for different scenarios. It helps big time. I used to worry about money all of the time, 24/7. I was always worried about something to do with money. I was going through my classes for becoming a life coach, and one of the things that came up was, worry about money all the time. Well, I came up with a solution of, after understanding that it's because I didn't have a plan, I put together a budget, and I checked that budget every day for, I don't know, a month or so, maybe not that long. But it started to really pick up that, I have a handle on this. I know exactly where my money is going and what is coming in, and I've detailed everything out, all of my expenses and everything, so I could see what was coming in and what was going out, what money I needed for the bills, so I wouldn't overspend. And that really made a huge difference. And those worry, anxious thoughts were all dissolved. They were gone. There was no reason for them, because I now had a plan, and I could work into my plan money that I wanted to put aside to save up for something. And so it just made a huge difference. Okay, so let's go on into some more spiritual or magical reasons for anxious thoughts. So I'm of the belief that things can happen to us emotionally that is a signal, a sign, communication from spirit that something outside of ourselves may be happening. So it could be that your body's trying to talk to you, say, hey, something's not right. But it could also be spirit saying, hey, pay attention, something's not right. Sometimes anxious thoughts are because you don't feel like you fit in. You don't feel like you're in the right place. You feel out of place. I know I've been through that before. And there are times when I felt that something was looming, something was going to happen, and it was something I needed to look into. And how does this pertain to me? How am I involved? What do I need to do in response? If I don't ask those kinds of questions, I will sit there and worry, and be anxious, and there would be no end to it unless I dig into it and say, okay, is this really coming from me? Is this something I need to pay attention to? Is this something I need to do? And as far as like not fitting in, that is so huge for a lot of us witches. We do not feel like we fit in. We feel like aliens on this planet. And I get it. I am totally there. I feel like a fish out of water sometimes, or a fish with a bicycle. Like, what's that? What am I doing here? Why am I wasting my time? And so then it takes some time to meditate and ask the questions that you need to ask. You can get out your tarot cards, you can use runes, you can use whatever divination system that you employ and that you use on a regular basis, and ask some questions and try and get some answers. You can also go to a psychic, get a reading, and a life coach like me, and ask those kind of questions, especially a spiritual life coach or a life coach who's a witch, who caters to witches, who understands, somebody who's more of a shaman, because they can see into the spirit world and see what's going on with your energy and what's going on with your chakras and what's going on in the spirit world with you. And it's important to get those things figured out, because you don't need to be wasting your time and your energy being anxious. It's just not necessary, except to get the message to you that there's something out of place, there's something that's not quite right and needs your attention. And once you start digging into it and, trying to find solutions, you're going to find a solution. You're going to find things that you can change and you can do in your life, and you'll feel better. That's why I end these, I end these videos with, do something today that makes you feel good and brings you joy. This is something that I teach my students. Make a list of at least 10 things that you can do that doesn't cost any money or very little money, and it's easy and it feels good and it gives you comfort and brings you joy. Do something on that list every day, and that will help reduce the anxiety and the on-edgeness, because right now this world is so upside down. It is a mess, and there is possible doom on our doorstep. We don't know, and there's cause for worry. Now, if Russia ends up launching nuclear weapons, it might be time to say goodbye. I don't know if there's a whole lot we can do about that. But as far as preparing, if you're into prepping and being a prepper, survival and stuff like that, go for it. I kind of am. I want to be prepared for power outage, maybe the economy collapsing and we are like paying $10 for a loaf of bread, something crazy like that. But there's only so much I can do, and then I can save up for a year's worth of food, but still it may take years and years before the economy becomes livable. You know what I mean? Where it's actually affordable to buy a loaf of bread. So I don't know. I'm just going to do the best that I can and deal with things as they come. I am a very spiritual person, and I believe that the spirit world, our ancestors and all of that, they watch over us. And the more you tune into the spirit world and your ancestors and your guides and things like that, plant spirits and whatnot, they will communicate to you and help you through a difficult time where there's drought and there's no food and there all kinds of bad stuff is happening. They will guide you through it, and I'm a firm believer in that. So whenever I start worrying about, well, what's going to happen, is the economy going to collapse, and is Russia going to take over the world, and is China going to take over the world with Russia, and I could go on and live in worry, but I choose not to, because it hasn't happened yet, and I don't want to waste my energy. Now, I want to tune into my guides. What do I need to do now? Is there anything I need to do now to prepare for that? Well, maybe I don't need to do anything. Maybe there's going to be a nuclear strike and I'm going to go out right away, and I'm okay with that. So it's just a matter of really coming to terms with how much can you do and how much do you need to just leave up to the universe. Say, universe, I'm leaving this in your hands. There's nothing more I can do. I've exhausted everything. I'm going to relax now and just drink my tea and read my books and just make myself feel good. I'm going to have that chocolate cake. I'm going to do something nice for my friends, spend some time with a friend, and do things that make me feel good. And that's where we need to be, because if I feel good, I have more energy to help other people. And that's where I want to be. If I feel anxious, then worried, then I'm wasting a lot of energy, and I can't help other people when I'm low on energy. So that's where I'm at with that. But hopefully this will help you. Please, please, please leave me comments and let me know if you have some other ideas on how to alleviate anxious thoughts or where they come from. I'm a firm believer in spirits being not good spirits attaching to people. So spirit attachments that can make you feel uncomfortable and uneasy and can trigger anxious thoughts. So there's that as well. And I'm not really good with how to help people with that. That's something that I definitely want to learn. So if you're interested in how to remove a spirit attachment or deal with spirits that are, messing around with your life and your energy, let me know, because I definitely want to get into it. If there's interest, then I will share videos. I will make videos about what I'm learning about it, okay? So I guess that's it. That's all I have for right now. And so thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me. Do something today that brings you joy and makes you feel good. I love you all. And until next time, blessed be.